From the Pacific to the Atlantic, from Suzuka to Silverstone, arguably one of the most famous racetracks in the entire world, the airfield it sits upon was first erected in 1943 as RAF Silverstone, but just 5 years later in 1948, a circuit was officially made on the abandoned runways, and we haven't looked back since. In the 72 years since this track was first constructed, it has seen plenty of revisions, 12 in fact, but this circuit is still thriving and still holds a very dear place in the hearts of racers and spectators alike. Hello and Merry Christmas one and all. Welcome to Friday Night Primetime here on RaceSpotTV and to round number 2 of the 2021 Dallara Formula IR Series. My name is Lola Rempel. I'm joined by Joshua Lee today in the commentary box with Junior Kenkipati in the producer's chair downstairs. Now, Joshua, Suzuka is where this series was first tested, and my goodness, was that ever a way to start off a season? We had thrills, we had spills, we had pit strategies galore, and some extremely close action. What do you think we can expect to see coming into today?
I think we expect most of the same. I mean, Silverstone is just one of those circuits that just seems like whatever car is racing on it, it has exciting racing, whether it's Formula 1, whether it's GT cars, or these new Dallara IR01 specifically made for iRacing. We're going to see some exciting racing around Silverstone.
It's a very historic circuit at that. It has a very, very rich history playing host to the British Grand Prix, the European Grand Prix, and of course many, many more. No doubt that is going to be something that a lot of these drivers are no doubt waiting to see. This is really the perfect track where these drivers can get their foot down properly. This is going to be, I tell you what, I'm very, very excited to see what we're going to be seeing today.
And it is going to be an exciting race, and especially because it's only the second Friday Night Primetime's top split broadcast here on RaceSpotTV, and the second week of action in these cars in this series. These guys are still learning, they're still getting used to the cars, especially after an update last week really changed how the car handles. It made it a little bit more upset. These drivers are struggling for grip around a couple of these corners that I've been seeing in the forums, so it's going to be an interesting race, especially that early start. These drivers getting used to those tires, getting those temperatures worked in, getting worked into the track, and then I think towards that back half of that race, we're going to see a lot of exciting action and a lot of moves being made. It is pretty easy to catch up to each other on the straightaways here at Silverstone, so we might see some dives going into a lot of the corners here on this track.
It's a very fast track, a very winding track, and no doubt one that a lot of these drivers are certainly going to enjoy. We are in the middle of qualifying right now as we speak. Tom Dallara is right now at the top of the timing boards, but not by much, only about a quarter of a second ahead of Martin van Luzonord. So it's a very tight qualifying, just like we saw at Suzuka, and no doubt that's going to make this race a heck of a lot of excitement as well.
And that qualifying is so important. While you can move your way up through the field, you have to make sure you're managing those tire temperatures. These tires wear so much different than a lot of other tires in the service, or pretty much any other tire in the service, where really just the temperature builds and the grip falls off. Those soft tires can gain temperature really quickly. The mediums a little bit slower. And the hards, you can really work those tire temperatures well to make them last almost the entire race. So just managing those temperatures is important for that grip fall off. So you don't have a lot of grip fall off. You need to make sure those tires are within that working window.
Got to make sure the tires are up to temperature, of course. It is such an important thing with the tire temperatures here and how quickly these soft tires can heat up. And it's actually a pretty chilly day on the track right now. Only 73 degrees Fahrenheit out on the circuit right now. So pretty cold day today. So it is March 1st in Sim. So this should be pretty interesting race. Having some slight technical difficulties. We are working on getting those sorted as quickly as possible. Looks like you'll be seeing our lovely faces, though, for a little while longer.
Yeah, we're just getting Arjuna, our producer, into the session, but, you know, old school radio style. We're going to do it here for a little bit as qualifying is going to conclude, and a lot of fast times up at the front, but a lot of really a gradient of times. A 126.1 the fastest, a 128.9 will round out the field as we take a look at that starting grid.
So to start things off, it is Tom Dallara on the pole with a 126.113. We've got Martin van Luzonord with a 126.137. Ben Fuller in the second row with Victor Prado just on his outside. Matteo Graziano in the 5th position with Marco Nunez down in 6th. Xavi Ross in 7th. Danilo Sanfilippo in 8th. Manuel Domingo and Marcos Sanfilippo rounding out the top 10 here, Joshua.
In 11th, it's Javier Soto. In Tanner Mcauliffe will qualify in 12th. 13th, Thomas Wick. 14th, Omar Baja. Patrick Letavet will round out your top 15. And final 5 spots on the grid: Matthew Crisp, Andrea Antongini, Mark Johnston, Ross Banfield, and Claudio Visparelli. 20 cars on the grid here at Silverstone. And it's going to be an exciting one as this rolling start gets going. And 34 laps on the docket today. Compared to the Formula One races earlier this season, those were 52 laps. So getting very close to that Formula One distance. It's definitely going to be a marathon, not a sprint here today.
So once again, to go through the starting order, it's Dallara on pole, Luzonord in second, Fuller third, Victor Prado in fourth, Mateo Graziano in fifth, Marcos Nunez in sixth, Xavier Ross seventh, Danilo Sanfilippo in eighth, Manuel Domingo ninth, Marco Sanfilippo in the 10th position, Javier Soto in 11th, Tanner McCullough in 12th, Thomas Wilk in 13th, Omar Baja in 14th, Patrick Letovet in the 15th position. Matthew Crisp in the 16th position. Andrea Antongini in 17th. Mark Johnston in the 18th position. Ross Banfield in 19th. Claudio Visparelli rounding out the top 20. There is live timing available today at timing71.org/FMP. So once again, that is timing71.org/FMP to catch up on all your favorite drivers. It does appear as if our technical difficulties have been fixed, and none too soon. Your final thoughts here, Joshua, as we set off on this very short pace lap.
Well, I think what's going to be the most interesting thing to see is Tanner Mcauliffe qualified on the hard tires, and he's starting on the hard tires. Everybody else running soft tires. The strategies could be a buzz going into this pit stop, but 34 laps on the docket. This is going to be quite a long race compared to iRacing standards. It's going to be a real test of these drivers as they go through the final couple of corners and onto the front straightaway for the green.
Tom Delisle, he's the control car. He's on the lap pedal. We're up for the way, and green flag racing at the Silverstone International Circuit. Martin van Luzonord just behind him, trying to get back in line as they thunder down into turn number 1. So far, so green all the way out through the order. Nobody's having any dramas just yet, and it is a very clean start all the way back in the field. We're single file most of the way.
Martin Luzonord already going to take the lead, and he is going to try and pull away from Tim Delisle as they go on out of arena onto this straightaway down into turn 6 of Brooklyn's hard braking zone, going down into this left-hander lawn sweeping late apex. Everybody gets through well. One car runs a little bit wide. That was Mateo Graziano, but everybody now good as they go back onto the old front straightaway, and Martin van Luzonord trying to pull away from the rest of the field.
Ben Fuller's trying to run down Tim Delisle for that second position right now. Delisle's going to run wide after the exit of, I believe that was Stone that runs wide. A couple cars running wide actually through there. A lot of tarmac runoff there, so it's very, very tempting, but you got to be very careful when you're going out there as well. Very easy to lose control of the car as well and completely compromise a run up to Maggots and Beckett. So far, we are still good throughout the entirety of the field. No dramas just yet, it would appear.
Everybody getting good as a little bit of a battle brewing further on back between Victor Prado and Mateo Graziano as they fight for that 5th position down through turn 16 of Vale into Club Corner. A lot of drivers starting to spread out, and a lot of drivers really testing that grip. I saw a few cars get a little bit cattywampus going through that final corner.
Here we see the run up back towards turns 2 and 3. Luzonord has really pulled a big gap on the field here. Tim Delisle is really having to fend off Ben Fuller just behind him. Fuller's trying to get a good launch out of the corner and trying to really hug Aintree here down the Wellington Straight in the run-up to Brooklands. Delisle's got to do everything he can right now to keep Fuller behind him because the draft is just oh so powerful in these cars. Once again, late apex for Brooklands, then switching it back for Luffield, a double apex corner that sweeps all the way around 180 degrees before we bomb it back down the old front straightaway through Woodcote.
Man, Fuller really used up a lot of curb on that inside line to try and get the slightest edge on Tim Delisle, but right now these three still single file, and Victor Prado joining this fight as now he is getting dangerously close to Ben Fuller. He is within striking distance for a pass as they go through Beckett's and into Chapel. Down the hanger straight they go. Will they use the draft? You can see each of them running in the cars in front slipstream. They're not going to make a pass, though, as Prado still watching and waiting for an opportunity to make his way into third.
No DRS on these cars either, so these guys have really got to rely on the slipstream in order to really kind of get the pulls that they need down these straightaways here. Let's take a look back at the battle for 6 and 7 between Sammy Ross and Marco Nunez. This is the number 6 and the number 5 machines going at it. They're about 3/4 of a second apart, just flying through the first few corners right now.
Back through. Turn forward into arena. And it's so difficult to really get up close to a car in the turns. You can do it through the straightaways, but these cars just get so upset going through corners that it's tough to really get the power down with the amount of horsepower that these cars produce. So getting that power down is important coming out of corners, and using that slipstream on the front straightaway is incredibly important as we look back at Matthew Crisp making a move to go up into 14th. Great move on Omar Baja.
Baja trying to get the cut back through left field, but was not able to really kind of get the overrun there. Matthew Crisp made sure to cover off that inside line nicely. So that puts the number 12 machine up into the 14th position. Take a look back up, though, to the battle for third, because Ben Fuller has lost the spot, actually, to Victor Prado through Maggots, and Beckett, it looks like pretty dicey maneuver to try to get a pass done into there, and it was actually just coming through Cobbs around the outside. Victor Prado went, so a very, very bold move. We'll be getting a replay up here in just a moment of that.
Great move by Preto, who also has the fastest lap of the session so far. And look at that outside pass, using that horsepower around the outside. He got those soft tires to grip so well to make that pass. And that is an amazing move to put him up into the podium positions. Now, can he catch Tim Delisle and make his way into second? Another look at that maneuver. I mean, so close to contact, but Fuller and Preto able to keep it off of each other.
Just barely able to keep it off each other. It's a very, very dicey thing to try to make a pass around the outside like that, especially with how fragile these cars can be. You saw how close they got, nearly banging wheels, as a matter of fact. It appears that the entire field is pretty much separated up into their own little battles now, so we take a ride on board with, I believe this is number 14 car we're riding on the board right now. He's trying to run down Matteo Graziano down through left field right now. Tanner Mcauliffe is doing a really good job here trying to make sure that he keeps that gap nice and short. And it looks like Matteo Graziano has lost quite a few spots, actually. And I'm looking back, it looks like he did run a little bit wide of the final corner and got himself a little bit of a slowdown penalty exit the corner. That's going to help Mcauliffe here in his run to try to run down what is now, I believe, the 12th place driver.
Mcauliffe is the only driver running the hard tires right now. Everybody else on the soft tires, so he has that tire difference that it makes him a little bit slower, but if he can just maneuver that car, keep those tire temperatures where they need to be, they'll work as good as the soft tires. If he's comfortable on those hard tires, he can be incredibly fast in them as he tries to just chase down the 12th place car of Matteo Graziano right now. Back onto the front straightaway as we hop up to this battle for the lead as Luzonord continuing to pull away, and you can see that gap between him and Tim Delisle continuing to stretch. It is now almost 3 seconds.
So Luzonord is certainly really on it right now, and he is certainly in the zone, trying to make sure that he keeps that IR01 as far out in front as possible. He has to be careful, though, that it doesn't burn those soft tires up, because it can be pretty darn difficult to get the tires back down to an optimal window if you overheat them. It takes a while for the tires to kind of stabilize out, so he's just got to make sure that he doesn't wear them out too early, because the one thing he doesn't need is to make this race a two-stopper.
Everybody wants to use that one stop. They want to essentially cut this race in half, have the soft tires on for half the race, pitting around lap 17, 18, then running another pair of soft tires towards the end. We saw at Suzuka, some drivers tried a soft to medium or even a soft to hard or a hard to soft. Just not enough speed in that strategy. Soft to soft seems to be the way to go, and it seems like a lot of drivers are going to keep doing that here at Silverstone, as one car made a look to the inside. That's Matteo Graziano on Thomas Wick. He made the look to the inside, decided against it as they went through Stowe. Now they go through Vale into Club. Will he make another move when they go through Abbey? They're so close together, less than 0.4 of a second as they chase each other down the front straightaway.
Graziano's closing is right on the gearbox in a turn number 1, flying it back to the farm curve and up to Village. Card on the brakes, here he goes, big dive on the inside, gets the pass done, nothing Wick can do about it. He was a sitting duck for that pass, trying to get the crossover now as they run up to Aintree. He could have a run here down to the Brooklands, down to Wellington straight if he could get a good exit. It is a good exit, so Thomas Wick has got all the slipstream in the world. Graziano cannot defend as Thomas Wick goes back up the inside to try to take back the 11th position.
But here comes Graziano. He's now going to try the crossover. We saw an outside move just a couple of laps ago going through this corner, going through Kopp's corner. Will he do it again? Here we go. Graziano in the slipstream. He's not going to look outside. He's going to look inside. Not enough room to make that move. They're going to stay single file. Graziano runs wide. So does that car in front of him of Thomas Wick as they continue to race through Maggots and Beckett's. The gap now stretching back out, and Thomas Wick is going to keep P10.
That's the dirty air playing big time into this battle here as they flew through Maggots and Beckett's. The gap only grew, but now down this long straightaway, Graziano can really close it on in. And if he could get a good run out here through Vale, he could potentially make another move on him down to the Abbey. Will not be nearly close enough for Club, but oh my goodness me, that was quite the attempt there from Graziano to try to take back or to try to get that 11th position down into turn number 3. Dive bomb from about 2-3 car lengths back. How about this battle that's also very close here? Tim Delisle and Victor Prado, they're both in the midst of a battle for the 2nd position.
Prado right in that slipstream within the striking distance. He can make a move if he wants to, but you can see him just kind of buying his time. We're only on lap 7 of 34. We've seen a lot of action up to this point, but there still is a large amount of this race to go, including a pit stop. So Victor Prado looking like he's just buying his time, staying in the 3rd position, but you know, if Delisle ends up holding him up soon in the next couple of laps, he's going to go for the pass, but right now, looks pretty comfortable sitting in 3rd.
Looking pretty comfortable as well. You got to remember as well that these drivers might be trying to maybe do a little bit of fuel conservation. These drivers are running limited fuel tanks in this series, which will force them to make that one pit stop. There is nobody that can go all the way to the end of this race. And we saw some drivers last week at Suzuka trying to maybe pit a bit earlier to just top the car off of fuel, get the fresh tires on, and then book it on to the end. Some drivers try to stretch it out as long as they possibly could, and I think that's going to be the more popular strategy coming into today as well. So the battle for 2nd continues to rage on. This could very well be one of those battles that continues to go on even through the pit cycle.
It could, and they're so close together and so even on speed right now. Best lap for Delisle, a 127.9. Best lap for Victor Prado, a 127.6. They were only about 0.08 of a second off of each other on their last lap times too. So these two running very close together, running almost identical lap times. They're going to be together on the racetrack unless somebody breaks them up, and Ben Fuller in 4th is eyeing them down.
He's eyeing them down indeed. These guys have got to be careful as well. They do not hold each other up too much, or we could see a 3-car battle for the 2nd position. We've seen that before in an open wheel cars. A 3-car battle usually results in disaster for at least one of those 3 drivers. For now, though, it is still a 2-car fight. They continue to duke it out down through Kopp's.
Back in the Maggots and Beckett's, very high speed corner. You want to go flat out through here if you can. A little bit of a downshift going through these last 2 corners and into Chapel, turn 14, and then down the hanger straight. This is one of the most important straightaways on the racetrack, in my opinion. You can get a huge slipstream and get a huge move going down into Stowe, as it is such a fast right-hander, and then back onto the Vale straightaway. But not a move from Victor Prado that time by. And Ben Fuller is closing in on this battle. We could see a 3-car battle for 2nd here in the next couple of laps.
He's closed in by about a couple hundredths every single lap, so he is slowly but surely reeling in the gap here up to the top 3. He's about, I want to say about 3/4 of a second right now, back of Victor Prado. Prado overcooks the corner by just the smallest margin. Kind of slayed the front end out there, got a bit of understeer going. That cost him about a 10th or so. So that is going to be word that he is going to have to continue to kind of work his way up. He was the only driver of this battle in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th to set a time in the 128 last time by. Other 2 drivers were both in the 127 range. And the fastest of them, well, it was Ben Fuller by over a 10th.
And there's that track map. You can see the spread of cars right now on the racetrack. And you can see really just how far Martin Luzonord is out in front as he is now going through Maggots and Beckett's. Second place, Tim Dallara just going through Kopp's corner. So that lead is extending even farther, almost 4.5 seconds now. One car off the track. That's Claudio Visparelli in the 20.
And he got a bit of a tap from behind, it looks like, from Ross Banfield. Take a look back at this one here. This was down in turn number 1. You saw it on the track map how he suddenly came to a big slow. And, oh, not quite it looks like. Might have just looped that one a little bit on his own or got a bit of an air push going. Kept the throttle down to kind of keep the car moving so he wouldn't stall it out. So good on Visparelli to make sure that the car didn't stall out. Take a ride on board with Ross Banfield. That is very, very marginal.
And you can see Ross Banfield on the brakes trying to not hit the 20 as they went a little bit slow going through turn 4 after that little bit of an off track beforehand. So Ross Banfield not expecting that slow of a car going through the apex. Good on Ross Banfield to try and get on the brakes, but definitely not enough. Some aero push or maybe a little bit of a loss of grip for the 20 sent him around.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate that that had to happen to Visparelli, who was just trying to run his own race kind of at the back of the field. He had only made up that one spot on Ross Banfield earlier in the race. Oh, look at this. One car running really wide as Andrea Antongini now picks up the 16th position during his battle. That was the previous 16th position of Patrick Latove that just lost out on that position after he fell way down the order after severely overcooking turn 3, trying to go on the defensive.
Mark Johnston now joining this fight right behind Patrick Latove. They go through left field, through Woodcott, into Kopp's corner. Will he make a move going into Kopp's is the real question. He's not close enough. He got really close going through Brooklands. I was very impressed by the amount of he was on the brakes there to get close to him, but you can see that gap now going back as they go through Maggots and Beckett's. A little bit too hot on the throttle. He's going to hit the brakes fairly hard to get it slowed down. That's going to extend the gap even more as Johnston going to solidify P18 for the moment.
Yeah, that really cost him there, overcooking Maggots and Beckett's. That's one of those corner complexes where it's just so difficult because every corner is a little bit slower than the last one before. It's so easy to misjudge your speed going into there because you have to slow down so much for Beckett's than you are going through Maggots. So not very surprised. It's a very easy mistake to make, and unfortunately, every time you do it, it is always an incredibly costly one as well.
Going back to this battle for second between Delisle, Victor Prieto, and Ben Fuller now joining this fight, making it a 3-car battle. Delisle still holding on to that spot, and there's that gap for the lead. You can see just how quick Martin Luzonord is right now, and you can see that difference in lap times from lap 8 to lap 10. Luzonord faster every single lap by more than 2/10. Some of them, you can see that one lap time, lap 9, he was almost 8/10 faster than Tim Delisle. That gap now 5.5 seconds. Luzonord, in all sense and purposes, has checked out from the field.
Yeah, Luzonord definitely took the lead early, and he has been showing exactly why he wants to keep it. He's set the fastest lap of the race so far with a 1:27.408. So it has just been an absolutely massive battle for him to kind of get that car as far as he is. Another battle that's going on is between the two San Filippos. Both Italians got Danilo versus Marco, and they're having a big fight for P8 and P9 right now. Marco Sanfilippo is trying to run down Danilo Sanfilippo right now.
That play of the wheel you saw from Marco going through Luffield and through Woodcott, that just goes to show how difficult it is for these corners. And my apologies, they were actually going through Abbey and Farm as they're now going through Arena and on to the Wellington Straight. But these two just trying to chase each other down right now. And you can see Marco in that slipstream, even through the corners. He's just trying to use that draft as much as he can, not getting close enough.
Not quite close enough, but surely he's going to be able to try to find a way up there sooner rather than later. The draft is just so powerful with these cars. So Marco Sanfilippo, he's got some pretty long straights coming up here right after Cubs and after the Chapel curve to be able to try to continue to close in the gap. The problem is he loses so much time really through left field all the way up to the exit of Beckett's because of how fast his corners are and how much the dirty air can play into a factor.
And speaking of dirty air, Victor Prado is all in that dirty air right now of Tim Dallara as this battle for second continues to brew on. You can see just how close he gets through the corners, but it's really that exit of the corner where he loses that much time, that dirty air plus that loss of grip he could be feeling in those soft tires as the tire temperatures continue to climb. Not allowing him to get that power down going through the corners, but is so close on the straightaways. He's going to look to the outside, trying to cut back to the inside. Not going to make that move happen. Will he go for another crossover? He's right there on the rail. You're looking on from Ben Fuller down the Wellington straight. They're so close together. Will he go for a move heading into Brooklands?
Oh,
he
here
looks
we
for
go.
it. He's going down to the inside.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Victor Prado not taking any prisoners. He's going to go through. Tim Dallara
Here
trying to
comes
find
Fuller.
out. Here's Fuller trying to go up the inside.
Fuller going to take that spot on Dallara. Tim Dallara lost 2 positions in 2 corners. What a move from both Prado and Fuller to see that option and take it, as now Fuller going to try and go up and battle Prado, but Dallara's not done with Fuller.
Very cheeky there from Ben Fuller to see the open door and just pounce on it. He saw it and he was like, well, if that door's open, well, why don't I just get my foot in there as well? So all of a sudden, that's put Ben Fuller up into the 3rd position. All of that has backed them up a little bit into Xavi Ross, the 5th place driver, who you see right there in that black car getting into the grass a little bit just at the back of the screens there. So this is I'll tell you what, that was not something I think that Tim Dallara was expecting, because he was trying to cut back to the inside, and all of a sudden, Fuller had the nose in that he couldn't go anywhere.
Here's the replay. There's the move from Prado that set this whole thing up. Dallara going for the crossover to the outside, but you can see Ben Fuller saw that opening on the inside, and he put that nose in and got the pass completed. What a move from Prado and Ben Fuller to really see that opportunity and take it all in a matter of milliseconds. There's the move from Prado. Dallara going for the crossover, gets caught on the outside, and right through goes Ben Fuller. What a move here at Silverstone.
I'll tell you what, Victor Prado, usually when you see a driver like that go to the inside, you try to go around the outside. Prado was not having anything of it. He was like, no, I want the inside line. And that is exactly where he went. He stuck the nose in, and he certainly made it work, asserting dominance on the racetrack. And there was nothing that Tim Dallara could do about either position. He really was just a sitting duck at that point. Just couldn't get what he wanted to do because, well, Ben Fuller was all on him and couldn't allow him to go for the crossover. And now Dallara is falling back a little bit as well as a result of this. So he might have burned his stuff up trying to hang on to the spot.
The gap's now extending between all 3 cars. As you can see, looking back, the 6 of Xavi Ross. Now looking on, he's the 5th place car, Marcos Nunez, right behind him as well, as the gap's kind of maintaining each other right now. Fuller looking ahead to Victor Prado to try and get up into 2nd. And Dallara now got to watch out for Xavi Ross as he is getting dangerously close to that back wing.
Dangerously close indeed. Xavi Ross, no doubt, was hoping they would duke it out a little bit more so he could close in all that much more. Unfortunately for Xavi Ross, they did manage to get themselves sorted out, so he is going to have to try to close it on in the hard way and take those spots away by force.
We'll see if he can take those spots away as they come back out of arena onto the Wellington straight. Biggest slipstream straightaway on this course. Second to maybe only that straightaway, the old front straightaway before Cops, as they make their way through Luffield, and no moves being made out of this group as Dallara tries to regroup after that great move from Prado and Fuller. As Xavi Ross now trying to chase down for 4th. Not close enough to make any moves yet, but we saw how close they got going through Vale. They're going through turn 16 off of Vale into Club. And he got dangerously close to the point where if he got a little bit more grip coming off of that corner, he might have been able to make a move going down into Abbey.
That is the worn soft tires that was preventing them from getting the grip that he probably needed to make that move down into Abbey. Speaking of the worn tires, the pit window is very close to opening up as well. We're actually only 2 laps away from the halfway point as it is. So this could potentially get pretty interesting here if it ends up that we end up seeing the pit cycles coming into play soon. Logically, some drivers might want to just kind of split it up half and half, but a lot of drivers might prefer to instead try to stretch it out as long as they can. So that means they get the performance advantage from the fresh soft tires a lot later on in the race.
Here's Xavi Ross, and you can see that's exactly what I'm talking about. He gets so close going through the corners, but he can't get the power down with the grip in those soft tires this late in the run. And you can see he gets so close, going through almost 2/10 between him and Tim Delisle going through that corner. Can't get the power down on exit, and that gap goes to almost 0.7 of a second.
The problem for Xavi Ross is that he keeps on going really hard on the brakes down to the turn number 3, but that means he takes a bit of a wider exit line through 3, which compromises him for the arena curve in turn 4, so he's not able to get the power down as fast as he would have wanted to because he risks spinning the tires, and he is not running as far as he would have liked. It appears we have our first car down to pit road, and it is the number 18 machine out there, so first car in, pit window is open.
He's in that stop at 8.57, the pit stop time. Still going through that pit lane, and it looks like he went soft, so Ledeve still on those soft tires. He's going to put on a fresh set. We'll see if everybody else is going to do that. Here comes Xavi Ross into pit road from the 5th position. He's the first one of the front runners to come in. Hard on the brakes, hits that pit road speed button, and Ross is in. Nobody else looks like they are coming on in just yet, but we'll see if Xavi Ross goes to another set of the soft tires. We can assume they are, but he might try a different strategy.
Soft was definitely the strategy just about throughout the entire field, except for 2 cars that went soft medium and one from hard to soft, so it definitely seems like that is a very, very happy strategy that everybody seems to like. I mean, if the soft tires can stretch you all the way to the halfway point, well, why wouldn't you use them on your second stint as well? Xavi Ross is going soft as well. So we watch Victor Prado trying to pull away from Ben Fuller. That gap is now 2 seconds, so Prado is well clear of the draft as Ross leaves pit road.
Now we just got to wonder when these cars are going to make that trip into pit road, as we have 2 cars now that have made their pit stop. Xavi Ross coming out in 15th from 5th, so loses 10 spots. We'll see where they end up after this pit cycle concludes. We're still waiting on the rest of the field to make their way into pit road. Some drivers trying to stretch those soft tires a little bit farther, and I believe if you're Martin Luzonord, who has a lead of 7 seconds, you have a little bit more freedom to stretch those soft tires because you've got nobody around you to battle as Prado is in.
Victor Prado comes down to pit road, so more of the lead lap cars coming down. Looks like he's got a couple of visitors, too. So, yeah, you're right. That's Delisle, and it looks like Manuel Domingo is also coming in from just behind these guys way back. So, a lot of drivers that are in the top 10 are now coming down to pit road, as you can see there on the track map.
So here they go, 4 cars in. Javier Soto also going to come in, as Nunez and Marco Sanfilippo going to take over 2nd and 3rd. Danilo Sanfilippo will take over 4th for the meantime. As there they go, up on the jacks, getting those fresh tires on. Everybody keeping on the soft tires. Nobody trying anything different just yet. Still the only car on a separate tire compound is Tanner Mcauliffe, and he's on the hards.
Xavi Ross just crossed our finish line, so these guys have got themselves a pretty big distance over, and the thing is, they have to get their tires up to temperature yet. Xavi Ross, his tires are primed right now, so that number 6 car can still pounce on drivers like Tim Delisle, who is just 1 corner behind now as we ride on board with Xavi Ross, who's down in the 10th position now, and that car just up ahead of him, that is Tim Delisle, who's just out on fresh soft tires, and he has got to get them up to temperature still.
It is incredibly important to get those tires up to temperature because when they're cold, they don't have nearly enough grip as they do when they're in that optimum tire window. Here comes your leader, Martin Luzonord. He is into pit road. And Claudio Visparelli making his pit stop as well. Mark Johnston just came out back onto the racetrack. Here is your leader. Marcos Nunez also going to come in from P2. Marco Sanfilippo is in from P3. These pit stops starting to make their cycle as Danilo Sanfilippo, Matteo Graziano, pretty much everybody else remaining on the racetrack, making their way into pit road as Luzonord in his pit stall right now. We're taking a look at Prado as he tries to take the lead away from Luzonord, but Luzonord already out of pit road, and there's the gap between these two. He still has an insane gap from 1st to 2nd.
That's often how these races work. You have to see that one driver that really likes to stretch out and really kind of get a massive, massive gap on the field. Like you said, just about everybody else that hadn't taken the pit stop is now down into the pits, and seems like this is all going to be sorted out nicely for everybody. No pit stop dramas while we're down to pit road. I believe the only driver left is Tanner McCullough, who's on the hard tires, so he might not be coming down for quite some time yet. Marcos Nunez is now potentially looking to do battle with Xavi Ross. That gap, just 9/10 of a second.
Will they be able to battle together? The only car that has not come down pit road, there's actually two of them. Omar Baja still on the soft tires. He scored in 8th. And Tanner McAuliffe, the only driver on a separate tire compound. He's still using those hard tires as the figurative pit window starting to close. And actually, Claudio Visparelli came down pit road. They're now running the mediums in 20th place.
Expeditious call to go on the mediums when everybody else around you is going on the soft tires. That might not be the best call unless he's hoping that those tires will come into play later on in the race. But you never know. I mean, that could be a bit of an interesting one, won't it?
It could work out pretty interestingly, but he has still scored in 20th, and I believe he has also scored 1 lap down. So, yes, he has scored 1 lap down. So, Visparelli just trying pretty much anything he can to really make up some positions. And now he has to make up an entire lap after that spin he had earlier on, and now making that pit stop onto the mediums. He's just trying anything he can now to get any more positions as he has scored all the way down at the bottom of the timetable.
Omar Baja comes down to pit road. Let's take a look at the top 8 in standings right now. Martin van Luzonord still leads the race after taking the lead early on lap number 1. Tanner McCullough sits in the 2nd position. He is yet to come down to the pit still, so he's likely going to drop well down the order. Victor Prado sits in the 3rd position with Ben Fuller just about 1.8 seconds behind in the 4th position. Tim Delisle sits in 5th, the former pole sitter. He has a lot of work to do if he wants to recover today. Marcos Nunez is just behind him. Behind them is also Xavi Ross, who's still trying to close in the gap. And Manuel Domingo rounds out the top 8 so far in the running order.
Great top 8, and all of them so fast. But you can see after the pit stops, gaps starting to spread back out. A lot of battles happening on the racetrack right now as Omar Baja came into pit road. A long pit stop for him, and it looks like he might have had some damage. He stays on the soft tires, now working his way out of pit road. So that leaves the only car not to come down pit road yet, Tanner McAuliffe on the hard tires. He's trying to stretch them as far as he can. Currently scored in 2nd place. About 5 seconds back from the leader, Martin Luzonord, and about 4 seconds up from 3rd place, Victor Prado.
You mentioned that Omar Baja had a long pit stop. It was actually a speeding penalty on entry. Too fast on the entry to pit road. That is what cost him, and that is going to cost him dearly as we take a look at the gaps in this battle for 2nd and 3rd place. Tanner McCullough, as you can see, losing a substantial amount of time. Victor Prado gaining a second every single lap, which is not really of any surprise considering he's on fresh softs and, well, his opponent up there, old hards.
Yeah, and those hard tires, they can last you a good bit, but inevitably, even if you're racing as safe as possible, those tire temperatures will continue to climb over the run. And those hard tires can handle temperature better than the softs and mediums, but they still cannot work for that long outside of that temperature window. And that temperature window is long gone for Tanner McAuliffe as he just now tries to stretch them to the end. If you're in a field with a lot of drivers on mediums and hards, you might be able to do a little bit better than what McAuliffe is doing right now, losing that much time to 3rd place. But with everybody else on softs except for 1 car on mediums, you're not going to get that much advantage out of the hard tires.
No real battles going on around the track right now, except for a couple of closing gaps, of course. Seems like everybody's kind of just running their own race right now. Nobody's just trying to battle too hard right now. People are just trying to, I guess, make it to the end of the race right now as we look back up front to Martin van Luzonord, who has just been done an absolutely phenomenal job. I mean, this is just an absolutely fantastic run for him. Remember, he is a past World Championship Series driver. He drives for RAG, which, remember, is Roman Grosjean's esports team. So it's a very big name here that's out in the front right now, and I think he is definitely eager to show exactly why he deserves to be in that seat.
He's definitely showing today why he was chosen by Roman Grosjean to represent his esports team, as he has been basically on rails like a train this entire race. He gained the lead and has not looked back from Tim Dallara. I believe he has led every single lap so far today. And he has that fastest lap as well. The bottom half of that timing ticker on the top showing nothing but Martin Luzonord. We're going to look at a replay. This is the replay for the lead as he took that. This was right after the start, going through turn 3 and 4. And he got the lead away from Tim Dallara and got some good grip coming out of that corner down the Wellington Straight. And he has not had anybody to battle with since. Here's that look from the chopper cam. And you can see just that late braking to the inside. He's able to keep those soft tires gripped up. A little bit of a tap to the curb, but ultimately takes the lead. And that is how he got to where he is right now and is continuing to sit there as we near the last half of this race. 12 laps to go as there goes Tanner Mcauliffe into pit road. He is now on the softs.
And that is going to promote Marco Sanfilippo into the final position of that top 8. It's also going to promote Danilo Sanfilippo into 9th. Matteo Graziano is in the 10th position. Now Mcauliffe just exits pit road in the 11th position. He's got Javier Soto just behind him trying to run him down. So it looks like a couple battles might be starting to pick on up here. We could see one for the 11th position here. I know we got one for 9th and 10th right now as well between Danilo Sanfilippo and Matteo Graziano. That gap has been steadily closing as well. So it seems like we could be seeing a few more positions picking up here before the end of this race.
It is possible, especially as those tires really gain that temperature and we see the difference in how these drivers have been managing the tires over the second stint. We could see those gaps close. We could see gaps widen as this race continues to play out. Still a good amount of racing left to go. 11 laps as Luzonord gonna go past the start-finish line once again. So still a good amount of time remaining in this race. 11 laps is definitely still nothing to laugh at as here comes Mcauliffe. A huge draft on the car in front. I believe that is the lapped car of Claudio Vesparelli. Yes, it is, as they are on the mediums. Around they go as they make their way through Stowe.
Javier Soto still has to get by Vesparelli as well, so this could actually really play into McCullough's advantage here. Let's take a look up to the battle for 9th and 10th between Danilo Sanfilippo and Matteo Graziano. This battle has kind of been going back and forth. I mean, on some laps, Graziano closes the gap. On some laps, it extends. Oh, big lock up there from Danilo Sanfilippo, and that causes him to lose the position entirely. Matteo Graziano goes through into 9th. Wow, that's like close a gap of 1.2 seconds down to naught in just a few seconds. So what in the world has happened here?
It is so difficult to get the braking right in these cars. Those brakes are so sensitive. And it's just one little push of the pedal too hard and you're locking up that front tire. We'll see if that's exactly what happened. And he got loose coming off of the corner. That's another thing we've been talking about. That grip on exit, trying to get the power down to those rear tires. Just not cooperating as Danilo Sanfilippo now going to fall almost 1 second behind Matteo Graziano.
He decided to just let him through, and coming back onto the racetrack, decided it probably wasn't worth it to try to come back on and immediately start battling with him. That most likely would have ended in some pretty serious contact for both drivers. That's a very big moment, though, there for Danilo Sanfilippo. Not easy to recover a car when the back end snaps out like that. You see he's still struggling. Yeah, he's struggling big time with that machine.
Could be possible that he has already really gone way outside of that tire temperature window on those soft tires. He came into pit road on lap 18. That is 7 laps ago. If he's been running those tires extremely hard, they could already be experiencing that grip fall off that a lot of the drivers experienced on the latter half of that first stint. Or it just could be that that car just not cooperating for him as he's running through dirty air as well from the car in front. As here's the battle for second between Prado and Fuller. Fuller faster a couple of laps ago, but that last time by, Prado gonna get the jump on Ben Fuller, as these two have been battling ever since that move on Tim Dallara that they made going through Brooklands.
These two drivers are very evenly matched. I mean, they have just not been able to really break away from each other's lap times. I mean, Ben Fuller only closes in marginally, and he only loses marginally as well. So seems like these are two drivers that are no doubt very, very close together in terms of skill level. It would be really something to see if we could get Ben Fuller to maybe close up a little bit to Victor Prado maybe he might be able to really give him a run for his money when that slipstream really comes into effect. Unfortunately, the straights here are just not long enough that he can get the draft from that far back.
You need that speed going through the corners, and it's so difficult in these cars to really get those turns right and get them fast. It's easier to just follow in a line on a straightaway, but here at Silverstone, there's really only 4 straightaways where you can do that, and none of them are as long as, you know, the front straightaway at Suzuka, or the back straightaway at Suzuka going through 130R, or even the straightaways at Monza, maybe a couple of the straightaways at Spa, same way. Those tracks are going to be easier to make overtakes in these cars, but Silverstone is so difficult because it's so difficult to overtake going through corners in this IRL1.
And that has got to be because of just how dependent these cars are on having clean air in order to corner fast. And unfortunately, the dirty air really can play big time. Now, granted, the dirty air effect is not nearly as great as it would be on other cars like the Williams FW31 and the McLaren MB430, but it is always present, and there is no car on the surface where dirty air is not going to play a factor at some point in time during a race. And this is definitely one of those moments where the dirty air could be very impacting here as to how close Ben Fuller is able to close on in.
And that dirty air really affects these drivers, and that's also really going to prove who's the best, not only in this official top split broadcast that we're going to have every week on Friday night primetime for the season, but also once that World Championship Series gets started. It's really going to prove who is the best in this car and the best on the surface as they try and deal with that dirty air, because we know in a World Championship Series you need to make those overtakes going through corners, and it's important here too, but a World Championship Series is on another level.
It truly is, and I think the NASCAR World Championship is a very perfect example of that one. Take a look back at the battle for 4th and 5th between Tim Delisle and Marcos Nunez. Now, Nunez has really closed in to Delisle over the past few laps, and they're now just 0.8 of a second apart. They really are the only real battle we have on the track right now. So this just goes to show how evenly matched these drivers are too. I mean, look at how quickly though Nunez has closed in. Quarter of a second on lap 24, 16 hundredths on lap 25, over half a second on lap 26. Well, around lap 27, he's got about 7.5 more laps to make this one work.
He was faster on each of those 3 laps that we saw in the comparison on the overlay. So he is catching, trying to chase down Tim Delisle. So they go down the hanger straight, a good slipstream opportunity as they head down into Stowe. But Stowe corner is really where that dirty air comes into effect. It is so fast in that right-hander. Can get the car extremely upset. Looks like Marcos Nunez dealing with that dirty air pretty well as he gets even closer to Tim Delisle. Down the front straight. Oh, one car's around. That's the 20 of Claudio Visparelli.
Claudio Visparelli's day goes from bad to worse as he takes what looked to be a pretty big shunt there. Let's take a look here back at the replay. I think this is coming through left field here. Oh, just snapped it on the exit. Too much power. That's 900 horsepower there right to the rear axle. It looks like he barely nicked that barrier where the pit entry is for the national circuit here at the track. So that is just not good at all for him. Take a look at this other battle, though, going on. 9th place on the circuit right now, up for grabs.
This battle going on, what I just noticed on my timing screen, Matteo Graziano is in the pits. He's going to make a 2-stop strategy as Omar Baha also goes around.
Some drivers starting to struggle now, it would seem. Omar Baha taking a bit of a slide. Let's see where this happened. That's out through Abbey. Oh, it took too much curb, it looked like, onto the hanger straight, and that's what sent him around for a big slide. He did not hit anything, though. Good for him.
Graziano came down pit road.
Graziano crashed in pit road. He crashed in pit road on the pit exit lane.
Oh, my goodness. What happened for Matteo Graziano? We were already confused as to why he came down pit road. He put on another set of softs for this last couple of lap stint towards the end. What happened on exit here? Oh my, he gets the power down incredibly quickly. And it is an uphill right-hander coming out of Silverstone. It can really bite you. And it bit Matteo Graziano, and you can see just nothing he could do. It just goes right around. And it's so tight going through there too. He needs to make a 5-point corner to get it to come back around.
That's a bit of an embarrassing moment there for Matteo Graziano. No doubt that is going to be one moment that he is going to want to forget in a hurry. That is so unfortunate. Watcher, he just stamps the gas as soon as he leaves the pit road and then hooks the car around with the front wing first, and he tagged it pretty good with the back end as well when he backed the car back up. Oh my goodness me, that is not good at all, and I believe Matteo Graziano may have just pretty much called it a night from here.
So unfortunate for him too, as he was having an amazing night here on Friday Night Primetime, and he was very fast, had a good run going, and unfortunately, late pit stop and a wreck on exit ruined that night for him. Here's Tanner Mcauliffe. He is on the soft tires. He's on the newest soft tires out of anybody on the track right now, trying to run away from Danilo Sanfilippo. And he just got past him too, so that means that he is really trying to get away, and he's in 9th place now, trying to get up to Marco Sanfilippo up ahead of him as he goes through Maggots and Beckett's. But that gap's so incredibly long between him and Marco Sanfilippo. 12-second gap in between 9th and 8th place, and he is faster on 2 of the last 3 laps, but 12 seconds in 5 laps is no easy feat for anybody.
Yeah, I honestly don't think he's going to be able to reel in that kind of a gap unless he puts in some truly alien lap times. But even if he nails the fastest lap of the race, matching Luzonord's laps every single lap here to the end, it still will not be enough. So I think he's just going to have to settle for that position here or end up just going further back in the field. No way he's going to be able to close all the way back up in just 5 laps time.
Back up to this battle. Dallara running through the old front straightaway down into Copse. He's still battling with Marcos Nunez behind him as they go through Maggots and Beckett's now. Dallara sitting in 4th. He started on the pole, fell back into 2nd, and we saw possibly the move of the night from Fuller and Victor Prado to get by Tim Dallara, put him down into 4th, and that's where he resides right now as Marcos Nunez tries to catch up as they make their way through Stowe. Nunez with a considerable gap pretty far back, but it is manageable as Dallara gets a little bit loose coming over the rumble strip there. Keeps that car under him as Nunez now trying to maintain that gap as it is a little under 1 second, about 9/10 right now between those two.
Take a look at this. Oh my goodness! That was Mark Johnston. We were just about to look back at this massive battle for 16th and 17th, and Mark Johnston has just taken the biggest mess of the race, and Ross Banfield is a big damage as well after launching over the back end of that car. These guys have been going back and forth like this for the past 3 or 4 laps, and unfortunately, Mark Johnston just made the mistake of getting on the throttle a bit too much.
And here it is. You can see that replay. On the throttle, hits the rumble strip, counter steers, and around he goes and collects Ross Banfield in the 11 behind him. Unfortunate for Banfield. He was just running behind him and just nowhere to go running that fast.
Oh my gosh, that is just not at all what you want to see. And Claudio Vesparelli hit Ross Banfield as well, actually, through Maggots and Beckett's, giving him a bit of damage on the rear wing as well. So, and breaking the suspension, it looks like. So Ross Banfield is into the pits now, and he is going to be done for the night. We're just now under 3 laps left to go as we watch this battle for the 7th position, it looks like. Manuel Domingo slowly losing time, it looks like, to Marco Sanfilippo.
3.5 tenths to separate these two. There's the 3 of Manuel Domingo just crossing through your screen. Marco Sanfilippo right behind, within striking distance if he can get a late braking going into one corner. That's a nice logo on the back wing there as we look back on Sanfilippo from Manuel Domingo. They start their 32nd lap of the race. This gap is close together. We've seen passes be made with a gap like this, but with those tires wearing the way they are, I don't think we're going to see any late braking from Marco Sanfilippo to really make that move happen. He's in the slipstream, but he's just not going to get close enough on braking, and that late braking is so risky as these tires start to heat up even more and reach that grip fall-off point.
I don't know. We saw a big dive bomb like that into the Casio Triangle last week at Silverstone on the last lap for the 3rd position, so it's still a very, very big possibility here. Keep your eyes on this battle here. Right now, Manuel Domingo is really hoping he can use that 12% of extra horsepower that RaceSpot logo gives you on the back of that ring. That is a scientific fact, by the way. It gives you that. Marco Sanfilippo still trying to run him down, seeing if he can deny the power that that sticker will give him. He's going to have a massive tow here down the hangar straight in the run-up to Stowe.
There's that slipstream. He's in that dirty air, though. He needs to be careful not to get the power down too quickly. But going wide is Manuel Domingo. That's going to open the door for Marco Sanfilippo. Now closer than he's been on Domingo in the last couple of laps. He might have an opportunity to make a pass going into turn number 3, but he needs to keep that gap similar to where it is, using the slipstream down the front straightaway and through turn 1.
Through turn 1, through turn 2, can't try anything into 3, just not quite close enough. He's trying to take a tighter line. Domingo runs wide again. Sanfilippo will try to get the crossover here through the arena curve and out through Aintree. Now here we go, down the Wellington straight. Can he have a look here down into Brooklands? I think the answer will be very much yes. He's weaving all over the place, just barely not close enough to make the look. He might have tried to go for a crossover and try something into Cops.
That car was so upset going through turn 5 in the arena. You can see just in that dirty air, the car just can't get that power down. And you can see him moving that wheel just micrometers to the left and right, trying to keep it under him. As a battle now continuing on the hangar straight between Delisle and Nunez. Can Nunez take over P4 and put the pole sitter Delisle back into 5th? We're on the final lap.
White flag is in the air. The battle for P4 is really on. Oh my goodness. Nunez making a massive dive, but just cannot quite get there. Goodness gracious, that was certainly a close one. Here's the battle over 7th and 8th. Sanfilippo comes back on Nunez through Stowe. So close in the braking zone. Contact. Domingo goes wide, and Sanfilippo takes the spot. Domingo will not be happy about that one at all.
Some slight contact on those tires, on the sidewalls of those soft tires, and around they went. You can see Domingo goes wide. That opens the door for Sanfilippo. Some contact and no brakes from Domingo. He goes into the gravel. Give that spot to Marco Sanfilippo. He's now up into 7th. Domingo falls to 8th.
The race leader is just now on the exit of the Magnuson Beckett through the Chapel Curve and down the hangar straight for the final time today. And Martin van Luzonord has been in absolute control throughout the entirety of this race. Took the lead in lap 1, turn 3. Now he's just got to hang on for 3 more corners through the Vale chicane and out through Club. Dominant win for Luzonord. Almost loses the back end, but he takes victory here at Silverstone. And round 2 goes to Martin van Luzonord. Oh my goodness me. Victor Prado is close behind. He's going to pick up 2nd. Ben Fuller does not have time to close in the gap. He's going to have to settle for 3rd.
More cars making their way through Club Corner and onto the front straightaway. The final battles finishing up here as Delisle takes 4th. Nunez is not able to catch him for 5th. Here comes Xavier Ross across the start-finish line for 6th. Marco Sanfilippo takes 7th. Not past the start-finish line just yet, but he's in 7th as now he goes past the start-finish line. Manuel Domingo going to have to settle for 8th. And Tanner Mcauliffe and Danilo Sanfilippo going to round out your top 10 as they come across the start-finish line to end 34 laps of racing.
Oh my goodness me. That was just absolutely insane for what we saw there from start to finish. I mean, those battles in the closing stages, it really was much like Suzuka. You know, we had a bit of a calm period there in the first middle portion of the race, and then it all kicked off with about 8 laps left to go.
The final cars crossing the line. Andrea Antonghini, the last one to cross the line in P14, but this race was just so interesting. I mean, we knew we were going to see a lot of exciting battles continuing from Suzuka in this Dallara IR01, but I don't think we were really expecting that many battles and that many insane wow factor moves from a lot of these drivers. I mean, we saw dive bombs galore going through turn 6 of Brooklands.
Let's take a look now as all the cars have crossed the line at the official post-race results. Martin van Luzonord takes victory in convincing fashion, 13.6 seconds over Victor Prado. Ben Fuller is going to pick up the third position to round out the podium. Tim Dallara in fourth. Marcos Nunez rounds out the top five. Xavier Ross in sixth. Marco Sanfilippo in seventh. Manuel Domingo in eighth. Tanner Mcauliffe in ninth. And Danilo Sanfilippo rounds out the top 10, Joshua.
Javier Soto going to come home in 11th. Thomas Wick in 12th. Matthew Crisp in 13th. Andrea Antaghini in 14th. Patrick Ledeve rounds out your top 15 with Mark Johnston, Omar Baja, Claudio Visparelli, Ross Banfield, and Matteo Graziano rounding out your entire 20-car grid here from Silverstone.
An absolutely fantastic race today. Definitely the race that we wanted to see on Christmas Day. A smaller than usual field, of course, with this series being Christmas Day and everything like that. But I'm pretty sure that is something that every last one of us wanted to see on this very great holiday. I mean, my goodness, that was certainly something.
And this Dallara IRO1 really creates those battles. I mean, it's difficult to get the power down coming off of the corners with that dirty air, and that really separates these drivers that can get a handle on that car from the drivers that can't. And those drivers that can get a handle on that car create that action that we saw today. I mean, I don't think we were expecting a two-car overtake on Tim Delisle, of all people. He qualified on the pole and then got two cars overtaking him at the same time, going through Brookfields and Luffield. I mean, what moves we saw from a lot of the drivers through the field. It wasn't just up front, it was in the back too.
And don't forget, I mean, we have the next race coming up on New Year's Day at the Nürburgring, and the Grand Prix circuit there, it's just such a technical track. I mean, it's got a lot of elevation change. It's got every type of corner. It's got fast corners. It's got chicanes. It's got hairpins. It's got medium, high speed, whatever have you. A downhill braking zone into turn one will likely cause some fireworks. No doubt next week's race is going to be just as thrilling, if not more so, than the one we saw today.
And the Nürburgring circuit also is one of the ones that Formula One went to this season, and it created a lot of great battles, and those cars have a lot of rear-end grip, and they're able to get that power down, especially going through those low-speed corners and that banked corner down on that track. And it was just gonna be an exciting race as these drivers try and battle not only the grit, but making sure their tires are up to temperature, making sure they're outside of that dirty air, using the slipstream down the couple of straightaways they have there at the Nürburgring. We thought Silverstone was a challenging track for these cars. I think Nürburgring is going to be on a complete another level.
These were some of the passes that we saw over the course of the race in your over here on the screen right now. This was the really big one we were talking about with the two-car pass. Watch Ben Fuller, that black car just at the background there, just sweeps right in and takes that position right away from Tim Delisle, who clearly had no idea that was coming. He was trying to go for the crossover and just absolutely did not think that would be happening at all. But oh my word, I think that was gotta be one of the best passes we've seen all race.
That was definitely the move of the night, in my opinion, and it's going to be talked about for the next couple of weeks in this series as the schedule moves on to Nürburgring, like you said, Nolan. And this schedule for the first season of tracks in this car being brand new, it's really going to be a test of each track to see, okay, how does it race with this Dallara, because each track is going to race drastically different to another track, especially Nürburgring to Silverstone. When we go to Monza, is going to be different than Spa, and it's going to be an exciting end to this season.
Well, it looks like that might then just be all the time that we have for one day today. It has been an absolutely fantastic day, and if you like what you saw today, you can follow us on Instagram, subscribe to us on YouTube, and of course on Twitch as well. That's where we are as well. Like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter as well at RaceSpotTV. Oh my goodness me. A lot of Friday primetime action still yet to come. The Nürburgring is where we're at next week on January the 1st. We go to Barcelona, Phillip Island, Long Beach will be no doubt entertaining, Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta, Monza, Spa-de-Francorchamps, Road America, and Interlagos rounded out the season on March the 5th. It has been an absolutely thrilling run throughout the entirety of today. I've been Nolan Rempel, bringing you all the coverage from start to finish with Joshua Lee helping me out tonight, beside me in the commentary box for today with Arjuna Kenkapati doing a fantastic job downstairs in the producer's chair. Special thanks as well to It's Van Below at TrackCams22.com for the beautiful cameras you were seeing all throughout today. And of course, Timing 71 for providing you with a live timing all throughout the night. We thank you all for taking some time off of your holidays to join us here on RaceSpotTV for Friday night primetime action. Have a very Merry Christmas. We'll see you all in the new year.